Incredible Northeast India Tourism, a vehicle for women empowerment, powered by Transport Department, Government of Assam, co-powered by Ensure, Complete Balanced Nutrition for Adult, co-powered by Dr. Ortho, Dr. Ortho Ayurvedic Tel Aru Capsule, Gathir Bikhor Babe Ononyo Oushod, education partner, the Downtown School, in association with Awesome Assam, print partner, the Assam Tribune.
I think all the while you were focusing on one thing, that is we have to tell the story, which also brings in another opportunity for the local educated people, because the story can always be told by someone who's from the region. So that brings in opportunity for engaging educated youth from that particular place to come in, because they are the people who can actually, look at. So that becomes an entrepreneurial opportunity for locals, and it also helps in eventually reversing the migration. I mean, we have to also look at tourism as a vehicle for reversing migration. I think when there are opportunities here, people would not like to always go out. There's nothing wrong in going out. So maybe we look at it from that perspective also. Now we come to Mr. Das. Very quickly, can you just tell us what are the basic initiatives being taken by Assam, proposed initiatives, particularly when we have the Kamakya temple, etc. How are we also looking at spiritual tourism? What else are we looking at? We don't have very much time, so maybe...
Thank you, madam. I'll get straight to the point. First of all, the point was on status of tourism in our respective states. We all know, most of us are from the travel industry here, so we are all recovering from the post-COVID process that we had. Whole thing was stopped for 2.5 years. The positive sign is that things have started coming back to normalcy, and our focus area for the time being, the sectors are wildlife tourism, as we all know, is our forte, Assam. Tea and golf tourism is a new sector where we are putting trust. Our tea gardens had been there, but government initiatives probably was lacking, so we are coming back strongly on it. Recently, Honorable Chief Minister of Assam, he has sanctioned a scheme of 100 crores rupees, where 50 tea gardens will be given capital subsidy amount for making their tea gardens into tourism properties. So we have started accepting applications, which closes on 30th of this month. And the first application we received was from Manoj Jalansar's company. So we are hopeful that tea tourism will come in a big way. This is only the beginning, and we look forward to making this industry, tea industry along with the tourism, a very strong product for us. Wildlife tourism, we all know we have 7 national parks, 19 wildlife sanctuaries, 2 World Heritage sites of Manas and Kaziranga. We have our infrastructure there, but the projection that we have is currently in 2018-19 we received almost 60 lakhs domestic tourists and 41,000 foreign tourists, which is likely to go up to 90 lakhs in next 3-4 years time. So we will need whatever capacity we have, we'll have to double it. So we're looking forward at encouraging private entrepreneurs into coming into more infrastructural projects. We'll be happy to know that we have already signed MOUs with Indian Hotel Company Limited, promoters of Taj Hotel. They are going to put up a greenfield project in Manas National Park and 2 in Kaziranga. Similarly, we are looking forward to having tie-ups with more such properties, hoteliers, so that we can increase the capacity of the aid. One most important thing is that Government of Assam has recently finalized a tourism policy of Assam, the new tourism policy. For that industry guys who are here, you'll know that we have had a policy before also, but the effectiveness of it. The difference this time is that the policy this time is done in consultation with the stakeholders and in guidance of World Bank. We have had multiple series of discussions with World Bank teams, and they were insistent on having stakeholder interaction. In fact, currently, probably every month we have one stakeholder interaction with tour operators, hoteliers, other stakeholders. So it's a stakeholder-driven process, and there will be actionable points on it, which government will monitor, and so that we can have a measurement at the end of the policy. Uh, what we were lacking in was promotion, because we all know we are beautiful, our places are beautiful, Northeast as a whole is beautiful, but the promotion or the perception about Northeast was somewhere where we were lacking. So a couple of years back, just prior to the COVID, government of Assam had sponsored the Filmfare Awards in Guwahati, and it was for the first time it was going out of Bombay, and we received huge footfall in terms of media and hits on the social media. Unfortunately, we could not capitalize on it because it was followed by the COVID period. But what we see now is that even during COVID time, in between when there was relaxation, our properties in Kaziranga, Manas were going, they were selling really well. So this time we have come up with the plan of making our social media and platforms very strong. So agency has been hired, the process is on. So what TDC is working on is making that portal where every product of Assam can be sold online, including the travel packages, safaris. We are trying to do the Kaziranga Jeep Safari also into that. We have requested Alfresco to come on board for the cruise booking. We are tying up with Kamakhya if their passes could be booked online. And specifically, you asked about Madam Kamakhya, what we did. Under a scheme of Prasad, which Madam will be aware of, Government of India gives funding. So the project was done in Kamakhya, which was worth almost 30 CR for development of peripheral infrastructure. The parking that we see in Kamakhya right now, it was done under that fund. The solid waste management project was done under that. Now, there's another proposal of almost 100 CR, which government is trying to make it into a tourism, creating additional tourism infrastructure to make it into a huge pilgrimage center. And we have proposed almost 20 places to be developed under the Mini Prasad scheme, which Madam again would be aware of. This is a scheme of Government of India, where at pilgrimage places they give funding for development of infrastructure. We have identified 20 of it. And the new Swadesh Darshan scheme which has come up, under that we have proposed almost 10 circuits. In the previous Swadesh Darshan scheme, 2 projects was done, worth 100 crores each. First was the mega wildlife circuit covering Kaziranga, Manas, Nameri and other places. That was worth 100 crores. And the second project was on heritage, where infrastructure was developed in Tejpur, Majuli and Sibsagar. Quickly going through what we have on the plate right now. Of late, since this current government has taken over, because we all know our Honorable Chief Minister is a very dynamic and very active and supportive guy. Backed with that, we have a very young and dynamic tourism minister who was previously chairman of ATDC. He knows the department in and out. And then followed by a very young, again dynamic MD we have. So the team is really working overnight, and every day something or the other is happening. As we speak now, we have a program which is happening at Kalakshetra, Lokomanthan, which is a national level program. Almost 1,600 delegates from all over India, they are being hosted here for a cultural event. So almost all the hotels that in Guwahati today are almost at peak of their occupancy level. So this is off season for us as a tourism industry, but because of the event, we are full. Many of those guests are going to other tours, like including Arunachal and Nagaland and Meghalaya. So that is a benefit we all get out of it. As we speak, again today in the evening, there's another program in Kaziranga where Sadhguru is coming today, and he'll be inaugurating the Kaziranga National Park along with the Chief Minister. There's a huge Chintan Baitak happening in Kaziranga, and this time World Tourism Day will be celebrated in Kaziranga by Government of Assam, where Honorable Chief Minister will himself be there during the entire program. So we have huge backing and support from the seniors and government officials. So we are working overtime, and unlike in the previous years, I hope the stakeholders will agree, there is a conversation process, there is a dialogue happening. For example, during the lockdown, we all faced trouble, especially the hotel and travel tourism industry. Many hotels, including this hotel, was used for accommodating the doctors and caretakers of during the COVID time. We have problems with the tour operators were facing huge problems. Many of us had to shut down. So then, last World Tourism Day, Honorable Chief Minister announced a package for tour operators and guides. All the tour operators were registered with Assam Tourism, were given 2 lakhs as a one-time payment. All the guides in Assam, they were paid an amount of 25,000. So that came as a relief for the year. Then, additionally, we have requested, we all spoke about homestays. Government of India has been circulating a new homestay bed and breakfast policy. But even prior to that, in 2016, Government of Assam had started a very, very successful program called Amar Alohi, where homestay owners were given a subsidy amount of 8 lakhs rupees, and they were supposed to create the homestays. So we have already 63 beneficiaries under it, and this time Honorable Chief Minister had asked us to double the amount. Instead of 8 lakhs, this time the project would be of, the beneficiaries would get 20 lakhs. And from single room, they want us to go into double room. So we checked homestay policies of other governments, like Orissa government has got a huge homestay policy, but their government is paying only 1 lakh or 2 lakh for per homestay. So the allocation that we have is 20 lakhs for one homestay. Why I'm emphasizing on this point is, madam, many of the beneficiaries of homestay in Assam are actually women, and they're doing very, very successfully. So we hope that this policy would directly benefit, because we all know, madam, when we talk about homestays, it's the women in the house who are actually doing everything from hosting to cooking to showing the guests around. So this policy will go a long way. And during recent meeting of tourism ministers in Dharamsala, our Honorable Tourism Minister, he emphasized and requested Government of India to kind of back us with more funds so that we can expand this program to many more homestay owners. So, thank you, ma'am. We have more.
Thank you. I know it was a very positive and a lot of initiative, and I'm sure there's been a lot of cross-learning happening from each state's initiative, unique initiatives being taken up by each of the states. We don't have very much time, but nevertheless, I'm sure a lot of questions would be coming. Maybe 2 questions immediately, then after that we will, you can get an opportunity to again interact with them during the break. We can just have 2 questions, please. Anyone would like to ask?
Like, we have a good circuit for Assam between when Kaziranga opens till it's shut down. It's quite seasonal at this point of time. My question was, is there a circuit in development where we can present it as an all year round destination, like Meghalaya has done very well in terms of presenting itself as an all year round destination? They have circuits. So my company is Camping Co. We actually represent every state in Northeast India, including Manipur and Mizoram as well. But, sorry, I have a little bit. But again, the representation from them is less, and reaching out to them is a bit of an issue, and circuit development, etc. Since we are based in Assam, we have a lot more knowledge for Assam. But I would certainly request, if you have these circuits open, as ma'am also mentioned, there are 10 or 12 circuits. So if there is a repository somewhere where all the local tour operators as well as those who are from outside can take a look at.
Probably Janami Madam, Manoj Jalan sir, and all our seniors would agree that 15-20 years ago, when we used to talk about season and off-season, we used to receive some guests during puja season from Calcutta for their holiday. Then our season is to start in November, December, January, February, March. By Bihu, everything was closed. There was no season after Bihu. And there were hotels were closed down. Hotels were closed down, they were shut down. That was the kind of season we had. But this year, if you ask the hoteliers, May in Delhi was around 44 degrees. Assam had around 26 to 29 degrees. And we had difficulty finding rooms in Shillong and Kaziranga. That was the kind of season we had this time. June, July, again summer vacations, so we had guests. Probably August and September is a little lean for us. So what I'm trying to point out is that 20 years ago we had season for only 4 months. And then lean season for almost 4 months, and 6 months we were shut down. Today we have good season for almost 8 months, right from October till May. So these 8 months are good season for us. And even now, it is not off season. If you go to anywhere, Kaziranga, Manas, hotels were open and they were receiving guests. Probably they were local guests from Guwahati. Shillong gets a lot of guests from Assam. In the summers and the weekends, you don't get room in Meghalaya because the people from Guwahati has gone there. So we have evolved from being a 4-month season destination to an 8-month destination. And we'll close this gap. Prior to COVID, there was a process in the government on how to make off-season also happening here. The concept of monsoon tourism also was being discussed at official levels. But that's when the COVID started. I'm sure the process have again restarted now. Remember, Kaziranga used to get open in the mid-November earlier. Now it is opening today. It is September. This is probably first time in, I don't remember how many years, we have Kaziranga opening in September. So that is a process which has already started. But we have to understand one more thing. Every destination in the world have some season and some high season and some lean season factors, including places like Goa. Second, our products are mostly wildlife based. We have Kaziranga, Manas and other places. So these places, the national parks, they need to be closed for visitors because the wildlife, they need to recover and they need some privacy during that period of time. But while that remains closed, with additional products and additional activities, how we can run our tourism services, that is where government is currently focusing, and soon we'll close that gap. Don't worry, we'll find it.
Ma'am, my question is directed to Parthadas. He was talking about some schemes, but I understand that creating a supply without fully understanding the demand, I don't think it will be wise. Just a suggestion, I'm putting across. So, is the government doing any intelligence survey of where our tourists are coming from which states and where they are going, and invest on those destinations so that enough supply is created considering the demand?
I think a very pertinent question, maybe a very quick answer, then you can carry on.
Thank you, Rajit. That's a very intelligent question indeed. And this has been a question of the industry for long. He had raised it before also. This time, while making the tourism policy, the whole process was done in consultation with World Bank, and they were insisting on the same thing which you just pointed out. So, the current policy actually has a component where you're supposed to do that part and then make infrastructure accordingly. And World Bank also strongly suggested that government should not get into the accommodation business of it. So that was another industry issue. And haphazard planning of, like in all states it happens, there's government funding, so you have to do something. So we created infrastructure in many places where probably it was not required. So that understanding the demand and creating capacity accordingly. So both these components is part of the new tourism policy.
Ma'am would like to add something.
I'll not add, I just slipped out from my mind. I just wanted to inform the August audience here, the stakeholders are here. Arunachal Tourism, this year from November onwards, we are trying to initiate a small experimental issue. We call it the Caravan Tourism. So we have procured 4 caravans. Now Arunachal is divided into East, West and Central. So western side is mostly for spiritual, that is the Tawang sector. And the eastern side is also we have spiritual, where we have Namsai, the Golden Pagoda spiritual track, and we have the Parshuram Kund. Now beyond Parshuram Kund, we have a very exotic kind of a program called the Last Indian Village Kaho, that is in the China border. So most of these tourists from Assam, what they do, they drive down. it's not much of an issue. They carry their own camping gear. I think there was a lady who owns the camps and all that, who spoke just a while ago. We have curated our annual calendar events. And we start the event from this month. We are having the Zero Festival music. And then we have the Tawang Festival. Then we have the Mechuka Festival. Then we have the Orange International Music Festival, and we end with the Pangsao Pass Festival. Pangsao is, bordering Myanmar. So most of we don't have an on-season, off-season, but what we are experiencing now, people are coming during the off-season, going to off-grid destinations. So we try and put in some facilities, and that is where our village tourism comes in. We have the village heads, who we call the village Gaumbura or the Gaumburi. So we try and sensitize them, saying that if you have any visitors coming and asking you for accommodation, you may not have a homestay, but you have an open space in the village, because every village has their own community land, jurisdiction and boundaries. So you allow them to camp. Only thing is, the condition is that you will not litter, you will not leave your garbage behind. So it is a very popular offer being taken by the youngsters from Assam. They either bike it down or they come in their own small vehicles. And we are going to introduce 3 caravans onto that sector, the Kaho, Anjao, Parshuram Kund sector. Now we are going to give you the caravans, you will drive yourself. But we will link a guide along with you. It is a camper basically, and you can, obviously when you drive, we recommend that you go in a group, so that one group can pitch their tents and then one group can sleep in the caravan. You can use the kitchen facilities, everything is there. There's a small portable washroom. We are just on an experimental basis. It's an expensive affair. The charges may be quite high, but we just want to try it out. And the best invitation we can give is to the CIA Women Chapter. If you're agreeable, you can, I offer this, I extend this invitation to you. You can do it during Makar Sankranti. That is in January, when we have the Parshuram Mela open. That is where you will get culture, religion, spiritual heritage together. So if you have a group who wants to come, we are most willing to host from Arunachal Tourism. Thank you.
Thank you so much to all the panelists. I think there's been a great learning, cross-learning, and I'm sure the audience would like to have many more questions later. With that, thank you all very much for being a part of this panel. Thank you.
Thank you, esteemed panelists, and Dr. Sriparna Burwa for moderating this session. Our panelists talked about promoting rural tourism and also homestays. And in fact, Deary Ma'am had even suggested a curated package pan-Northeast. I hope our tour operators are listening to that. Now, I would request Entrepreneur and General Secretary, NEWA, Ms. Indu Singh, to please come and felicitate our guests on the dais. Ma'am Sadhna Deori being felicitated. Ma'am Tiarinla Rutsa being felicitated. Mr. Partho P. Das being felicitated by Ms. Indu Singh. Thank you so much, our dignitaries on the dais. Thank you. After that insightful discussion, we now move on to a very interesting part of today's program. It's an encouraging trend that we are seeing more and more women entrepreneurs joining the tourism sector. Like we got to know about Arunachal Pradesh, where most of the homestays are being run by women entrepreneurs. That's truly heartening. So women from Northeast are seen tapping the potential of this region through their innovative ideas, many of them turning out to be extremely successful in their venture. Clear sign of women being empowered. Surely exciting times ahead for tourism in India and Northeast. Audience, you would now have the privilege and opportunity of meeting and hearing few such successful and inspiring women sharing their personal stories about their venture into tourism business, its challenges and rewards. So our panel discussion is rightfully called then Kaleidoscope of Tourism, Sharing of Tourism Success Stories. May I request our moderator of this session, Advocate Pallavi Borua, to please come and take her seat. Pallavi Chumki Borua is an advocate, entrepreneur, award-winning film producer, social activist, philanthropist, food connoisseur, and whatnot. Pallavi has been practicing law for past 19 years with experience in Supreme Court of India, as well as Guwahati High Court and Delhi High Court. Pallavi has produced many award-winning films through her movie and theatre production firm, Ruby Visions. She is among the shortlisted candidates of Niti Aayog Women Transforming India Awards 2018. She is regional chair for CII, Young Indians Northeastern Region for 2022. Welcome, Pallavi Chumki Borua. And ladies and gentlemen, we move on to our guest this afternoon. Let's meet Pia Bose, founder, Girls on the Go Club. Panelist Pia Bose started Girls on the Go Travel Club in 2008 after quitting her legal profession. Her TEDx talk on starting her business on a zero-cash business model was listed by Forbes magazine among the top 9 TEDx talks on travel globally. She has sent women expedition cruising to Antarctica, photographing the northern lights in Arctic, staying with headhunters in Nagaland, or camping in Mongolia, trekking up to the Everest base camp, etc. She has also helped women with disabilities travel and is now working on helping women from lesser privileged backgrounds to travel. Pia's personal adventures include a solo travel at the age of 16 to Brazil, a life-changing land trip from Lucknow, Nepal, Tibet, and traveling to Antarctica and then crossing the Arctic Circle to Greenland in a span of 3 months. Wow. Pia has been listed as one of the top 15 travel entrepreneurs shaking up the travel industry and has been featured in a book by Penguin Publications called You Can Make Your Dreams Work. Here we have Pia Bose. A big round of applause for her. Welcome. Our next member, Manisha Pandey, is present here with us today. She is the Managing Director of Village Ways. In 2004, Manisha and her husband, along with other friends, co-founded Village Ways to help sustain the villages of the Binsar Wildlife Sanctuary in the Himalayan state of Uttarakhand. Currently holding responsibility as Managing Director in Village Ways, Manisha has been working in the field of responsible tourism for the last 15 years. She has closely supervised the development of village tourism enterprises in several states of India as well as Nepal. Manisha is the founding member of the ICRT India Foundation, which is a part of the International Center of Responsible Tourism, United Kingdom. She is also associated with various state government tourism boards in developing responsible tourism. Let's welcome Manisha Pandey, Managing Director, Village Ways. Jayanti Rajagopalan, our next panelist and guest. She graduated from XLRI in 1995 and joined Titan Industries Limited and worked for the next almost a decade in various locations across the country, largely in sales and marketing. In 2006, she moved to the social development sector with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation as a part of Avahan, the HIV prevention program working with female sex workers and other vulnerable populations in several parts of the country. Finally, in 2008, she decided to follow her passion of travel, food, and history and started Detours India, a boutique tour company specializing in offbeat individual and small group tours in Hyderabad. The company also conducts an annual specialized itinerary called Khana Sutra, a 12-day culinary tour across a few cities in India, and the Deccan Discovery that brings to life the lesser-known history of the Deccan region. Ma'am, we request you to bring Khana Sutra to this region as well. A big round of applause for Jayanti Rajagopalan. And finally, we have someone who is joining us virtually. She is Neha Arora, founder of Planet Abled. Planet Abled helps destinations and hospitality industry stakeholders on how to become disabled friendly. We will get to know more about that from her. Neha is also a regular keynote speaker at various global platforms like ITB Berlin, Global Sustainable Tourism Council, World Tourism Forum Lucerne, International Congress on Tourism Technology and Diversity in Spain, Women Economic Forum, TEDx, and various acclaimed educational institutions. Neha is a Global Good Fund Fellow and sits on the advisory board of Travel Unity, a non-profit organization based out of the USA. Planet Abled is the recipient of several awards. To mention few, the National Award in Tourism by the Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, Travel and Leisure Global Vision Award, Best Innovative Practice Award by Zero Project at United Nations Vienna, and in her personal capacity, she's also the recipient of Most Influential Leaders in the Tourism Industry Award at Global MICE and Luxury Travel Conference, and Exceptional Women of Excellence Award at Women Economic Forum, and several other awards. Our panelist, Neha Arora, was supposed to be with us today, but unfortunately, she got held back at work. But not to worry, she plans to join the discussion virtually. Please welcome Neha Arora. And now, over to our moderator, Advocate Pallavi Barua.
Thank you so much, Gayatri. I hope I'm audible. Well, good afternoon, esteemed panelists, honored guests, delegates, participants. It is indeed my privilege to moderate this session. So we already had two panel discussions. One was the growing opportunities in Northeast, and the picture indeed is looking very bright and positive. Then we also got a plethora of information from the panelists who spoke about the government incentives for the tourism sector, and which they also mentioned about a lot of plans for the future and a lot of food for thoughts. For example, the curative Northeast tour. So we are really excited about how the tourism ecosystem is emerging. So now it is the time for stories, just as Gayatri just mentioned. Well, before I go to my esteemed panelists, I'm just sharing a short story of myself. So when I was young, I used to read books all the time, and I used to travel to different places through those books. Then I read somewhere that the world is a book, and those who do not travel read only one page. Massive FOMO. And I decided, it cannot be that I'll be just reading and going to these places. I have to travel. So thus began my travel journey. Today, my travel stories are in the boarding passes which I have collected, my 2 magnet boards, and in between the pages of my passport. my bucket list consists of different experiences that I want to have in the different parts of the world. Another short story that I want to share. 2 years back, I was undergoing life-saving surgery. So there was a thought that, I might take time to regain consciousness, and it might be days because my neck was getting dissected. So I told my friend, who was my attendant too, that if I do not wake up, just keep telling me that you have to do Highway 1, you have to do Great Ocean Road, and you have to travel to all these different places. I actually gave him a list. So such actually was my zeal to live, zeal to get better, and it was all driven by my passion, my desire to travel around the world. Like me, there must be millions of people who has this dream, the dream of going to new places. And who is making these dreams come true are these entrepreneurs who are sitting with me right now in this esteemed panel, and the delegates who are present in this august gathering. Today, a traveler is indeed, because of your presence in this tourism ecosystem, a traveler is indeed spoiled for choices. So it is, and I can also vouch that our topic is tourism is a vehicle for women empowerment. This gathering today is a proof of how empowered all these women are, and that is the reason why they are today sitting here with us and presenting their stories about how successful and how they actually came up with the ideas and why they came up in this business of travel. So my first question to each one of you is, so if you can say just 1 or 2 lines, so what is your USP, or what is your USP or the USP of your enterprise that makes you click, that makes you different, makes you stand out, and or makes your client come back to you again and again. So if I can have Jonty first going ahead.
Thanks a lot, and thanks for having me here. It's good to be back in the Northeast. I, of course, expected the airport drive to be like a 15-20 minutes one because I'd come here 17 years before. I realized very quickly that this city has changed, a lot of it for the better, but I'm hoping that it continues to keep in mind that this region is extraordinarily special for the rest of the country as well. So I started Detours in 2008. I left the corporate sector and started this company, and a lot of people were very confused as to why I'm doing that. One of the things I kept in mind while coming up with the idea for this company was that I would like to offer to the guest whatever I have enjoyed on my travels. So whatever has made me feel good about, and all of us travel on work and then maybe do a little bit of sightseeing. We rarely remember the height of a building or when it was built, but what we remember is the feeling that we are left with at the end of the experience. So the whole concept of experiential tourism is what I was trying to focus on. And I would, in the interest of standing between you and lunch, I'm going to keep it short. But one of the things that keeps people coming back to us and to refer us to other clients is not what we show them, but how we make them feel. So the focus is always on stories, the focus is on interaction with the local communities, the focus is on leaving the person feeling that they have understood something about the city, they've understood something about a country's culture, and of course food. Taking people to offbeat places and not focusing on the regular, ghisa-pita tourist locations, but seeing the extraordinary in something that you may see as something very ordinary. But if you're able to find an experience within that, which makes the feeling of the customer that, yes, I've seen something special, I feel some connection at a human level with this person, I think that's what makes organizations click, and that's what makes guests keep coming back to places.
Thank you, Jonty. Manisha, please.
Yeah, thank you so much to CII to give this opportunity, and whatever we've listened since morning has been very insightful. And having started my education in Arunachal and then moving to Tejpur for a stay. So I am very attached to this region. And at the outset, when you asked this question, Northeast is, as I said, always the most potential place for developing something which we have done over these years. And I think the USP, or whatever we call it in marketing terminology, the biggest factor for us has been people-to-people connection. Because I think whenever we ask the question to all our guests, now 15 years we've been running these in several states, and at the end of the trip we do take feedbacks. And the common review which has come from all is that it's a privileged access. How we get to these places which otherwise normally we wouldn't have been able to visit if we had taken a very standard tour. So I think that's one thing, privileged access, and plus contributing to the local communities. Of course, once the initial connection is with people, all the impacts and all the serious subjects that we've been discussing since morning comes with it. So I think for us, certainly it's been the people makes places concept which is running till now very well.
Any 1-2 lines on your USP, please.
Sure. Thank you so much for this opportunity to come back to the Northeast, one of my favorite places ever. So in terms of the main reason or the main USP as to why I feel women keep coming back again and again to do these women-only tours, I think one is the opportunity of shifting from doing to being. And I think that is the most powerful thing, because as women, also as men, but I think since we're talking about women in particular, we are always so task-bound, and we are always in these role-playing modes of being a mother, wife, daughter, or even a CEO, businesswoman, entrepreneur, all that. So this is an opportunity for really just letting go of all these labels and these roles and these, the doing mode, and just being, just sitting by a waterfall, just, looking at a mountain. And that's a huge neural pathway shift that happens and really lets women relax. So I think that's the number one thing. The second thing is unlabeling. So especially in the Indian context for women, I think the fact that women are traveling itself is a big thing. I think there's been a huge shift in this in the last, say, 12 to 13 years in particular. But I think when women are traveling, since travel is such a fluid scenario, where you're not really bound by your social structure anymore, you're not being judged by your neighbor for, having a live-in relationship or whatever. You're out of that role-playing mode. I think women can actually just experience what I call is their wild divinity, literally that, So they can just relax. They can just tune into themselves, rediscover themselves in the company of other like-minded women. And many of these women just, become friends for life later. So it's a beautiful, beautiful transformation that happens. The energy of these groups is completely different from, what you would see in a family group or, other groups. And the third thing is the opportunity for walking on what is called the Sunlit Path. So this is something I got to know very recently, just a couple of weeks back. And it just clicked that is the reason I think women love to travel. So, we have this thing that when we're looking at our personal evolution, whether it's spiritual or mental or whatever, that we need to walk the hard path. We need to get up, do our daily chores, we need to, look after family, we need to go to work. Like that's how we evolve mentally, spiritually, etc. So when we're traveling, I think you just get an opportunity to go through the same process of evolution in a much more happy and a much more cheerful mode where you're embracing all aspects of life. So that is called the Sunlit Path. It's an actual terminology. So if you guys ever want to check it out on Google, please do research it out. So I think for women travelers in particular, the opportunity for walking on the Sunlit Path, even for a few days before they get back to their routine life, is another reason why they keep coming back for these kind of tours. So these are the three main highlights, I would say.
Thank you so much, Pia. So we will definitely Google Sunlit Path. And I, being a solo traveler for many years, I will definitely like to embark and know more about this and maybe embark on a new journey with a new mindset altogether. So before I go back to three of you, I just want to show the AV that Neha Arora has sent us. If we can have the AV of Neha, please. I'm really feeling bad that Neha really wanted to be here with us, but eventually she sent us a video, but there is something, maybe there's a technical glitch. Video itself, where she has, oh, all right, okay, sorry. But Neha has been, Neha runs as a tourism platform called Planet Able. So that, and it so that people with disabilities can also travel. And what inspired her journey is that her father is blind and her mother is wheelchair bound, and that is what made her, come up with this idea. So we would have loved to listen to Neha, but it was no, sorry. It's better that we go to the speakers who are sitting with us today. So I start with Jayanti first. Jayanti Rajagopalan is also known as Jaunty. So we'll call you Jaunty here. And Jaunty, something very interesting when I went through your profile was the Khana Sutra, which also attracted Gayatri, I guess. Jaunty, I'm a person who, wherever I travel, I'll ensure that I have some bookings, good bookings at the restaurants before I reach that place. And every travel of mine has a little aspect of a culinary adventure in it. So definitely I would want to know about your entire your detour India, but also with a specific emphasis on Khana Sutra, because that is what also Northeast would love to hear. Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not putting up pictures of Khana Sutra, especially with lunch waiting outside. But the focus of my research has always been around food history, because I think food is not just something that we eat to satisfy ourselves. For a lot of us, especially in this industry, we are all very passionate foodies in various ways. But the one thing that I wanted to emphasize through Khana Sutra and through some of the tours that we do in Hyderabad is, firstly, the connection of food between people just breaks down all barriers. Everyone eats, and everyone eats for pleasure. And that is one way to just completely come to the same level as your traveler, as the person on the street, and everyone, just is able to see the connection between, two people through food. But more importantly, when I was building this itinerary for Khana Sutra, the idea was to showcase the country through food. It is not just about eating. Of course, there's a lot of eating, so you'll be happy. But the whole focus was on trying to connect food with history, food with religion, food with culture, food with geography. And therefore, for our Khana Sutra, we are doing the third edition, which was supposed to have happened in October 2020, and now it's going to happen in March 23. And the focus is always on trying to pick places where you can showcase the the whole breadth of Indian cuisine. So, we take people usually to East, West, North, South, usually 4 destinations. And I actually was exploring Northeast when I was putting together Khana Sutra 3, but you can be sure that one of the Northeast states will definitely be there in Khana Sutra 4. But the point is I'm just going to give you a couple of examples. When we went to Gujarat, Ahmedabad was on Khana Sutra 1, and we were talking about, everyone knows that women especially, and, I obviously am very passionate about, women's equality, etc. So we took people to, those of you who are familiar with the phrase, a farsan or a nasta factory in Gujarat, where it was a women's cooperative who make these various snacks which, Gujaratis and everyone else love to eat all the time. And the focus was, of course, we were eating, we were tasting, but the story that we were trying to tell through that experience to our guests was that even if a woman is illiterate and she faces some economic crisis, marriage has fallen apart and she's had to leave the house, etc., her ability to cook actually empowers her. So that was the theme of the story. And of course, we were eating all the time, but we were listening to the stories. We were listening to the whole movement and how this particular organization came together, trying to recreate recipes which people make at home and trying to make it a commercial success. And, taking the similar thought forward, we did do some other parts, so our experience is not just connecting food to the people who are eating it, but connecting the experiences to, what is the history behind it, why we eat what we eat, and all the stories related to that. So obviously there is huge variety of food that is there in India, but how do you present it interestingly is what was our challenge. So yes, those of you who enjoy food can meet me over lunch. We can have many more such discussions.
Incredible Northeast India Tourism, a vehicle for women empowerment, powered by Transport Department, Government of Assam, co-powered by Ensure, Complete Balanced Nutrition for Adult, co-powered by Dr. Ortho Ayurvedic Tel Aru Capsule, Gachir Bikhor Babe Ononyo Oushod, education partner, the Downtown School, in association with Awesome Assam, print partner, the Assam Tribune.